Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Big Picture Show Revealed Episode 4. And we have Michael O'Connor back with us today, and it's a very busy, energetic day. So, Michael's what's up?
Well, it's a full moon, Tyson. That's what's exciting about today. It's not quite yet, technically. The full moon happens this evening, so we're still several hours away. But it's like the Olympics, the buildup of the full moon here. And when it happens, technically, it's on one hand, it's the culmination point, it's like the fireworks. And the full moon is the culmination of the new moon, which occurred 2 weeks ago, and which was, in this case, a solar eclipse in Aquarius. So it adds extra, octane, shall we say. It's a bit more like jet fuel versus good old-fashioned petrol when you have an eclipse.
Yeah, it's definitely high octane on my level or my part of the world, that's for sure. The meditations have been deeper, quicker, more fully inclusive or holistic. So yeah, it's been really quite a ride, and I think jet fuel is probably the right description. A lot of high octane energy.
Well, it does really. Everything's synchronicity, and astrology measures synchronicity beautifully. Synchronicity and projection. Projection is that wonderful word that isn't only about you're not taking responsibility for your participation in this relationship. Projection, like synchronicity, is a constant. In fact, by metaphysical law, I would offer that the law of attraction, projection, and synchronicity are constants. We are all always doing them. We don't realize, but we are. And now there's a certain amount of room, you might say, for, well, it's not even like that. It's funny to say. What I'm trying to say is that we truly are, each and every one of us, the center of the universe from the standpoint of experience. And if you get really close to it, whoever is talking, whoever's thinking, as objective as they might think they are, it's their experience, right? As mentioned.
Yeah, so we're the center of our own universe that we're creating with every thought, word, and deed.
Yes. And our astrology, though, shows that the core creative code is already there. Now, admittedly, it's not the only code. Part of the other code is your genetic code, of course. Then there's the social code that you're in. So it's the genetic is obviously internal, and it does have a driving force on who we are in a lot of ways. And then the social code is external, but we're adapting to that directly and indirectly. But the astrological code is the archetypal code. That code is more script based. It's got a really core script. Now, when we engage in society, we might participate in roles, right? But invariably, we're projecting our own core archetypal nature, and we're engaging kind of through a type of, I call it like a type of chemistry with every situation, but more specifically with every animate, like sentient being. What I'm trying to say is, when we're engaged in relationships with others, we're, invariably projecting our story. And that's why two nice people may not get along.
So you mentioned synchronicity, and if I understood you correctly, you said it's not the easiest thing to describe or to get across. I know it goes back to Jung and the whole alignment and Jungian philosophy of the right time and the right place. But I think, doesn't it have to do also with just I think you said that synchronicity is happening all the time. It's just that we're not necessarily aware of it. We don't have that, what would you call it, alignment or awareness to the synchronicity, so we don't catch it. But it's sort of those sort of wheels within wheels that you're describing, of social and planetary and all. They're sort of like, maybe they're systems within systems, nested systems. Maybe that's the way to describe it. And when the nested systems align, we get synchronicity. Does that make sense?
It is very good example, because it's like air. Synchronicity is like air, believe it or not. But it's based on, you said it, layers. There's background layers. Astrology reveals the multidimensional reality where there's dimensional layers behind the outer manifest reality. I mean, we can think of any object and it has, molecular layers to it, right? We can think of the human body has layers. The atmosphere has layers. Everything has layers. The metaphysics brings in dimensional layers, and those layers, like all other layers, are highly sophisticated, purposeful. So anyway, within that interdimensional, immeasurable, that's the key thing. It's not measurable. That's the tricky one right there. Those dimensions. I think the scientists would like to, but even the Hadron Colliders are measuring particle collisions. They're still in a 3D dimension, even as small as you go.
Well, isn't it true that really, when we're talking about synchronicity, we're getting out of the third dimension, we're really into holism. And then when we're into holism, we're really beyond space and time and sequential. So it gets really, really difficult to talk about it from a scientific point of view, because it's a different level of maybe of reality or knowingness, not necessarily reality, but knowingness. Like holism is all inclusive, but science can't play on that level because has to deal with analysis, which is separation, which is yes or no.
Also, empiricism, observational measurement, empiricism, it's physics. It's basically physics, metaphysics and physics. Now, that doesn't mean doesn't mean better than physics. That could be deemed that, no. And nothing against a sophisticated mind that can understand the laws of physics, all good. But physics itself is sensory, it's empirical perception, even if the perception includes sophisticated measurement, etc., right? But metaphysics, beyond the physical, but beyond actually, it's like the word esoteric. Esoteric is different than occult, in that occult is hidden behind, but esoteric is hidden within. Hidden within is the key. That's why the holism is sort of a feature of esoteric science, and vice versa, shall we say.
Yeah, one more time. I like that. But there was the inner and outer, and in separation and inclusive got a little confusing there. So do it one more time.
Yeah, the esoteric, repeating what I just said, where the physics is empirical measurements, but astrology, I'll say it slightly differently because I can't remember exactly how I said it intuitively there, was that astrology shows archetypal code, and it reveals its more its proof is circumstantial. It can't say this is it. It's kind of like that misses the point. The astrology is like the tool that measures it. So if you like in science, you're not looking at the mathematical equation to say, oh, there it is. No, the mathematical equation is pointing to something. It's a language referring to something in an abstract mode, right? And then it gets put to test in this and that. Well, similarly, the archetypal symbology of astrology, which is a link, it's connected to holism because it represents that we live in conscious universe, and that our experience of being a sentient being incarnate on this planet, we're in this solar system. And anyway, the astrology maps out specifically the planets. I like to remind people, astrology is more about the planets than the stars. You can take all the stars out of the equation. Forget about the stars in astrology. Just honestly, it sounds like what are you talking about? No, forget about the stars, concentrate on the planets, and you get it. That's all. The stars are like it's like being on a stage, and there's the actors, and the actors are all playing, but the stars are like the building, if you like. They're like the theater house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the theater house is valid enough, it's there, but it's not what we're watching on the stage. It's kind of housing, shall we say. So it's not dismissing the stars as a reality. It just recognizes that they don't play as vitally and immediately a role. Now, you can incorporate the fixed stars into astrology, just by the way, you can, but you don't need to. And this is where I hear all these kooky things like the constellations are emitting rays. I'm like, no. That's people who think that the constellations emit rays, okay, are kind of like taking physics and projecting it on metaphysics. It's like this. They're going in the wrong direction. Same thing, by the way, when physicists, they'll say planets cannot influence us like the planets in the solar system can't influence us. Well, actually they can, but there's two levels of influence, by the way, quickly. One is that we live in the solar system in a field called the solar system, and it is electromagnetic. Anybody who's keenly interested in the new science go study the electric universe, and there it all is. The whole thing's even magnetism, they're saying, and I'm not a scientist in that degree, so I can only say it humbly this way: gravity is only a byproduct of magnetism. It's not like they are saying Einstein and the whole idea of certain modern classical physics is not correct in their opinion. They're saying that the electro is producing the magnetic. Okay. Anyway, more importantly, you could call it a plasma field. I think really the whole solar system is woven by plasma electromagnetic field currents. It's like a big machine, really. It's okay, but just quickly, that's physics. Metaphysics gets within the machine. So as sophisticated and wonderful as is the science of electromagnetism, and the solar system's like a unit, like its own whole unit. It really is like that. Basically, the sun's energy field goes out for one light day into space, and then it reaches an equal and opposite sort of matching. So it creates just like a droplet of water has like a skin. The solar system has like a skin, right? So like it's like a cosmic cell. Best way I can explain the solar system. That though is wonderful and true, and it creates influence because we're not now. There's the notion of distance, and that kind of what would be really practically vulgar thinking. It's vulgar to think that the space is empty. That's like saying in a cell that between the various parts, that the amniotic fluid is meaningless. It's kind of like, no, the space that you think is empty is not empty, is completely and absolutely charged with the whole thing as a whole. That's the problem with physics. It's two parts based. But bear with me one more moment. But even the electromagnetism of the solar system as a cell is itself the physics, but the metaphysics is the dimensional layers behind the existence of a planet or a sun at all. Like the sun, the planets have auric fields. They're not merely electromagnetic, and they're not merely made of particles and rock and various, elements. Is true, yes, but those are the outer expression of an inner intelligence, which can be called laws. And so this is what metaphysics studies these laws of, and basically speaking, it's intentional, purposeful, and intelligent. We can add loving, creative, conscious to those words. But when you understand that the science doesn't like going there because it has to admit, it sounds like you're saying God. Yeah, but we're not talking about big bad daddy with the beard and the big thunderbolt. We're not talking about the anthropomorphic God here. We're talking about the body of existence is the cells of the body of God, if you like. The galaxies are practically the cells in the body of this thing we call God, and it's completely conscious and intelligent and purposeful, and we are the proof. We are proof. So astrology goes in there, by the way, and it can actually decode what you could call the archetypal intention, the plan. It can decode the plan. It really can. And you're like, holy shit. And it can do that individually, but it can also do it kind of generically. That's where horoscopes come in. So there's kind of a generic level of which archetypes work. I just did a slideshow today on that. So my newsletter, people can sign up for it. Sunstar Astrology. Go to my website, sign up there, sunstarAstrology.com. Sign up to my newsletter, or send me an email, sunstarAstrology@gmail.com, and get on my newsletter. But also on my YouTube channel, Sunstar Astrology, or my Facebook page, Sunstar Astrology. I should be making a point there. Anyway, any of the which Sunstar Astrology, you're going to find access to it, and they would learn about what I just said, which is what I did was I decoded why horoscopes work, by the way. Why the heck should a horoscope work? Oh, that shouldn't work. Well, it does. Sorry. It doesn't work maybe in the absolute perfect way. It's not as accurate as an astrology reading. No, it's not. But it works at all. If it works at all, it's already the end. So anyway, bringing things back, so we're jumping in really fast. It's great to this holistic, as above, so below, as within, so without. You said it, the layers of this is another thing that the scientists don't like. This is where they get, intelligent design. There's a beautiful saying, Tyson. It goes like this. I love it. This is a saying that kind of came to me. It goes like this. There's only one thing more impossible than the Big Bang. There's only one thing more impossible than intelligent design in creation. There's only one thing more impossible, because you think that's impossible. Well, ye of little faith, right? That we live in an intelligent universe. Like we pride ourselves as being intelligent. We study sophisticated things. We look at nature. It's sophisticated. It's like, duh. It's like, what do you think? All this sophisticated just poof out of thin air? So there's only one thing more improbable and impossible than intelligent design, and that's not intelligent design. That is the stupidest invention in existence. It's got to be the stupidest thing ever conceived. It's called random. Random.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. It's almost like you're
yeah. It's like the improbability of the probable improbability of life creating from the improbability of probability. I mean, it just gets really absolutely ridiculous that all this could somehow come out of nowhere and create life. Or it just like it's mind-boggling.
it's a lark. It's a lie. It's a lark. It's a delay tactic. It's practically, it's the source of many conspiracy theories. It's like, come on. So anyway, and then of course we're the elite, we know, you don't know. It's like, no, sorry, there's only one thing more improbable and impossible than an intelligent source to existence, and that's an unintelligent source, because you're assuming and you're trying to convince yourself and us that unintelligence created intelligence. That's like putting a bunch of very unintelligent people in a room and thinking they're going to work on creating something genius. Well, the likelihood is not so high. But if you put a bunch of genius in the room and you give it the opportunity, well, guess what? It's going to start producing genius, right? I mean, anyway, it's a kind of, you wonder why it's to the point where if there's anything that's going to leave a person gobsmacked, isn't that the saying? I'm like gobsmacked. You're like, did you just say that you think like this thing kind of all just happened and just kind of like without any rhyme and reason? But then you tell us that there's laws of nature. Is that what you just said? And you're saying that we are into pseudoscience? Please, give us a break. I mean, how long do you think people are going to remain stupid? That's kind of like asking people, hey, suspend your intelligence. We know, you don't. It's like, no. And so actually that's why, anyway, getting, coming full circle with this, it kind of gets me excited. And this is good on the full moon. It's like, no. Beautiful thing. Astrology shows it celebrates intelligent design, by the way, just straight out with it. It truly and absolutely no question does, as does all metaphysics, all spiritual science, all religion, all the great teachers. They all go, like intelligent design, right? We just, because nobody created a circle and drew, it was like a zodiac I'm showing behind wasn't invented, it was discovered. It's like, there it is, draw a circle on the ground, cross it, and that, like, you didn't create that, it was there the whole time. You just revealed what was there.
It's like the chakras above my head on behind me. I mean, that's intelligent design.
Exactly, it's all there. We didn't invent it so much as we discover it. So so there's an intelligent design, but it's like anybody of any real sophisticated consciousness, and the world's more full of those than not, they're not saying, yeah, it's the big bad dad who's Zeus with the furrowed brow. And no, they're not necessarily saying, and yeah, the Pope's closer to God than anybody else. They're saying, no, he's just a nice man or not, or whatever he is. It's not my business to know that as such. All I know is he's holding a role within a secular organization called such and such a religion, right? As would be true of the Dalai Lama or whatever. So let's all be clear, but it's as though there remains this subconscious knee-jerk reaction to the notion that if we get real and start having an honest, civilized conversation, that we're allowing the big bad boogeyman to come back in, the big bad corrupt religion. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's like a fear. Basically, I think it comes down to either it's fear, or worse, it's sinister. It's fear that creates a blind, blind fear, like emotion. Fear's an emotion, blind. Or like deer in the headlights, so to speak. Or worse, fear's bad enough. And it's kind of like, oh, come on. Let's do an analysis, psychoanalysis of this overall position you're holding of the impossibility of randomness producing intelligence. Okay. Secondly, if it's not that, this is the bigger thing. This is the reason there's so many conspiracy theories. Is it sinister? Like, are you actually trying to pull one off? Are you kind of pulling the wool over our eyes? Is it market monopoly? World domination? Are you like a mad evil scientist or something? Right? You have to kind of right. That's why your academy exists. That's why we're all trying to get a voice here, and we have this opportunities in this moment in time, and so it's exciting. We'll have to call this part one, Tyson, of this episode, because and there's lots more to talk about, because I wanted to talk specifically, it just so happens, about the importance and value of the moon in our lives, and how we as a species evolved within the context of the sun-moon relationship. I hear wacky, kooky, crazy things about the moon being artificial and empty and hollow, and I'm like, this is called imagination to me. Now, the reason I say that is because I can see in the astrology chart how the moon is playing a vital role. Like it's measurable, predictable, demonstrable, but it's as though there's a whole other. There's interesting different categories of intellect in society, and how there's different people making things up. It's like, I like that David Wilcock kind of he says, you call it mathematics. Kind of, hey, we just, but there's other groups that are coming up with other kinds of theories, but you can tell it's emotionally driven, or, either there's a chip on the shoulder or something else, but it's not measurable, demonstrable. It becomes conjecture, right? But the symbolism, like the moon in astrology, is demonstrable. And I'd like to do that. And next time, what we could do perhaps is have some people call in with their charts, and I'll look at their moon and I'll tell them what's going on in terms of their emotions, their relationship with their mother. They're going to go, yep. So that would be a good reason. And I can post that as well. I'll say we're going to do that. And
well, that sounds like a very interesting show.
Yeah. So even though it'll be, I suppose it'll be next time, and that's next Thursday, which is fine. But I best run here. Unfortunately, we got going a little late today, but I don't know if you have any closing thoughts or words, and it's too bad I do, but nonetheless, it's on the, here we are, the culmination of the new moon in Aquarius, a solar eclipse. Aquarius is the revolutionary, the illuminator, the awakener, the, very let's shake it. And, it's a rebel with a cause in the higher reach. That's Aquarius, right? Wants to awaken and illuminate, very Promethean in a sense. And the full moon brings that seed to a culmination, like the flower blooming. So it's almost like it culminates is the best, simplest way. You can call it, it's achieved its purpose. You could say that, but culminate's a nice word, like the tide being fully in.
Well, let's wrap up this episode, and let's bless everybody who's listening to this call now and in the future. And may you be fully awakened in the light of this full moon.
Yeah.
And at this time of great change and transformation that's occurring in the age of Aquarius, with the water bearer that brings new essence, new substance, pours it on the face of the earth, which is in the tarot card. So we're in a time of great change and transformation, the beginning of a new paradigm, the beginning of a new cycle with the moon, and the beginning of a new age. I mean, what could be better than that? We're in a very powerful time, and guess what, all of you people, you chose to incarnate
Yeah.
and be part of this drama.
Yeah. And part of the awakening. It's a very exciting time in that regard. So it's part of the Aquarian age to have an information war. And that's, hopefully it'll just be an intellectual information war, a battle of wits. Let's go with that, right? Let's bring forth.
Well, the truth will be revealed. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
This is certainly part of the Mayan calendar. This is a time where the truth will undoubtedly be revealed.
Yeah.
And so we will discover the emperor has no clothes, and we'll discover all sorts of things in the forthcoming months. So we're in a very exciting time. So Michael, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And don't forget, if you're listening to the show, we'll be back on track next week, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. What's that, 4 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah.
And we will be at the Big Picture Show Revealed. And this episode, we will be talking about the moon and the moon's influence on you as an individual. Is that correct, Michael?
That is correct. The archetypal symbolism of the moon in your astrology and how it plays a vital role both in your natal chart and throughout your life as just an important theme, which I'll elaborate upon next time. And of course, the link for this will be posted and people can hear the replay as well, can't they?
Yeah, and this will be a talk show, this next one coming up. So look for it, and it'll be over at the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy Facebook page will be the link, and we'll give you the link to click on and join us, and it'll be toll-free phone in as well, 1-866-369-7464. We'll post that in the notes as well. So come and get your moon astrology straightened out.
Well, it's your moon in your solar, Western astrology solar, by the way, but you're right, the moon. Okay, thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Thanks to those who are here, and see you next time. Okay.
All right, bye for now.
Okay, thanks. Bye for now.
The Big Picture Show Revealed is sponsored by the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy, hosted by Facebook Live on the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy Facebook page, produced by The Wellness Show, www.thewellnessshow.ca, and stay tuned, same place, same time. See you next week. Bye for now.